Hello and welcome. Today's job here on this 2013 Range Rover Evoque is to replace the rear discs and pads. A couple of things we need to know about before we start doing that is that the electronic parking brake needs to be retracted to allow us to take the pads out and to put the new pads in. So hopefully I'll show you what I'm going to do. There's two ways to do that. You can put an OBD2 reader on there, or you can do it manually, which is fairly straightforward. But first of all, we'll get the car jacked up, get the wheel off, and we will have a look at the brakes. So we'll get the jack. So these are the brakes. This is the electronic brake actuator here. Obviously the caliper and the carrier, so we're going to have to replace this disc. Quite a lip on the top of the disc and on the bottom. So we'll get these bolts out, give them a wee bit of WD-40 before we start. These are the carrier bolts, and we will retract the piston electronically to take the piston back to allow us to get the brakes off. Then we need to remove the disc holding on nut. It just holds the disc to the hub. So first of all, I'm going to now try, whilst we've got that soaking in WD-40, we will go and try and retract the pistons and see how we go for there. So I'm going to take another camera in the car, and I'm going to leave this camera here just to see if you can hear the pistons retracting. So we're in the car. You'll notice on here it will say IID tool ready, and basically what we need to do on the tool is to go to service test. No, I bought that, that was the wrong one I picked there. Parking brake, move to service position, proceed, yes. Operation failed. I wonder why that failed. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not that impressed with the IID tool. I've got an L405 and it's pretty poor. A lot of the functions don't work on it. I think it's good for the L322 and older Range Rover models, but not for the L405. So we'll move to service position, yes. Executing routine, operation failed, continue. Okay, so that didn't work. So we will try the other method. Ignition on. So to release the electronic parking brake, here's what we do. So I've got foot in the brake, releasing it, holding it down, pressing the throttle right to the floor of the accelerator, then ignition off, ignition on, and I can hear the brakes winding back the piston. There you go. So hopefully my other camera captured that. So I'll switch you off now. So that's the pistons back in their position. So I'll try and get these off with the impact. Don't know if I've got enough space there or not. Get the bottom one. Just that brake hose there. It's just fouling me for that. Might be able to get a... Okay. It's maybe 16 rather than 17. It's a bit better. Just can't do it. We need 3 hands here. That's us. Bolts. They've also got these Torx bits on them as well, so I'll try and get the bottom one. You see that bit better. That one was much easier. Now with a bit of luck this caliper should come off, which it does, and there you can see the actuator, and there's the piston. Now I'm not 100% sure why that's not back. I would have thought that would have come right back, but it might let me push that back, which I'll be very careful in doing. I might just pop that off because it's a bit awkward. Connector plug. There we go. And we'll get the caliper up here on the road, which is good. Slider bolts, bit black grease on them, so we'll get them greased up before we put them back on. And the carrier bracket here, the pads are already in there, but they look as if they're extremely stuck in there. There we go, so pretty well down, pretty deep lip on the disc itself. Just try and get that other one out as well. And we'll take these wee shims off, get them cleaned up, unless the new ones come with it, which I haven't looked yet. So now we're looking to get these carrier bolts. I probably need the breaker bar on that. I don't think this has got the power to take that off. Yeah, And the bottom one, no, that's even worse. Okay, we'll try and... There you go. Down now. One out. Two out. And then I have the carrier off. And we'll get that cleaned up, particularly in these bits here where the shims are riding in the pads. So 2 bolts, just put a wee bit of Loctite on them. So we now need to take the disc off, which I think is a T40. It's 45. So this is a our apprentice Pat putting all the bits back in the wrong area. So I'll see if my wee Milwaukee gun will take that off. Oh, I think when all batteries are about done. I'll take it off of here. Give that a wee squirt. So what I could do is I'll get the impact driver, if I can't get that out, just to try and nudge it and give it a bit of a bash to break the rust in here. I think it moved there. There you go. Yeah. Another battery dead. So that's the retaining screw for the disc, and our impact driver done the trick. Okay, coming back for later. So our disc now should come off. And then it's a bit rusty, a bit thin, quite a big lip on that disc. So what we're going to do now is maybe clean up some surfaces here, more so here. So I'm just going to clean this up here, wee bit of a wire brush in there, clean up some of the surfaces here. Maybe do that now. It's a nice surface. I'll probably do the backs of these as well. So here we have our new disc. So I'm just putting some copper grease on there to that surface, very lightly, just for the next guy to come along. And I know what you're all going to say, I've got that on wrong. So what I'm just doing is cleaning it, because brake disc covers me a bit of a film on them for transportation. I got that on wrong, Raymond, didn't I? Why didn't anybody tell me that there? What's that way? There you go, second time lucky. So this screw, the retraining screw for the disc, doesn't have to be that tight, it's just to hold it on. In actual fact, a lot of cars don't actually have a retaining screw, just it's actually held on by the actual bracket itself. So here's our carrier. I'm just going to give that a wee clean out there, get all the old grease out it, and get our slider pins. Let's give them a wee clean. See all the old grease on them. So I'm going to be putting a bit of lithium grease on that. I'll put them in there. There you go. Make sure it's nice and slidey. And some grease. And the last one. So that's same nice and slidey. And that will go on like this. These are the carrier bolts, so I'm going to put one in, get the other one in, and I'm going to take them back out again. So I've got one in, and I will just put a wee bit of Loctite on that one, bolt in there, and take this one off, a wee bit on this one. I shall go and change batteries for my Milwaukee. That's that. So I'll top them down to the spec. I think it's about 110. We're finished. Our slider pins are fine. Now, the big problem I have is, do I wind this piston back in again? I'll try and wind it in, because it should be not a problem doing that. So I'll go and get the tool to wind that in a bit and give it a gentle push to see if it will go back. So I did hear the screw going back, but I'll get the tool. So my tool needs to be a 3.1, so a lot of these are just 2s, so it's 2 lugs on there that's catching the caliper. I've only got one 3, Now I'm trying to wind that back. I don't know whether it's actually going to move or not. I might get the other tool. It looks as if it's going to go straight back. Just a flat plate on that. Try this tool. So this is just a flat plate. I'm just watching closely as the piston goes back. So it is moving back, so which means the screw in here is right back to its retaining position. So I didn't really need the 3-pronged one, just a flat one would have done. There you go, that side's back. So you can see the piston's right back flush, and by putting it into service mode has retained that right back. Fingers crossed it'll be okay coming back in again. So let's get the pads. So I'll just put these shims in. I spent a minute there cleaning the old ones up, not realising that there's new ones in the pack. Oh, there the pads come. Felt quite good. What I'm going to do is put a touch of grease here and there and here. Not there, Raymond, not there. A wee touch on there. This is basically to try and stop the brakes squealing. And we shall now get the caliper. Hold that on a wee sec. And also with the caliper there are new caliper bolts. Just not sitting quite right for me. 16 spanner. Just want to check that's. There we go. Cool, it's moving nicely. I'll get the wee plug back in. Let's get clicked in. So these bolts are tight, the carrier bolts are tight in here. They've been grazed, new shims, new discs. Discs on, new pads. You can now see the pads in there. I now need to put the brake back into normal operational mode. And again, I shall do reverse in the car, which I've done. Hope I've captured on another camera, and we'll go on to the other side. All my fingerprints off it. All we've got to do is put a wheel back on, let's double check, that's tight, they two are tight, they two are taut. Wheel back on, take the jack stand out. wheel on. And we will get these torqued down to spec. There we have rear brakes done on the Range Rover Evoque. I'm going to do the other side, but I will do it in super high speed because it's just a repeat again of what we've just done there. Let the car down off the jack. And there we go. So that's us done with the Range Rover Evoque. We've actually put the new discs and pads at the front of all wheels and the rear, which is fairly straightforward. That's us for the day, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Take care for now.